Hey friends, this is Derrick Broze, and I'm your candidate for mayor of Houston. So first off, let's talk about what you're about to watch. So since June, when this group, the Houston Millennials, announced they were going to host a Houston Millennials Mayoral Forum, myself and my team have reached out to them and said, hey, there's a millennial candidate. He would love to be a part of this. Almost immediately, they responded and said, okay, we'll talk amongst our team. We'll see what's going on. And then very quickly it became clear they were not interested in having me. They claimed that I was too late, that the candidates they were choosing had already been chose at a recent meeting, and that there was no way they could add me to the event. Then you had candidate Sue Lovell, former city council member, and Dwight Boykins, current council member, announce after me, and were immediately added to the event. So then you end up with the 5 main candidates on the event. So of course we reached out again and said, what's going on? Why is Derrick being excluded? At the time I was the only millennial in the race. Now there are 3 millennials in the race, and all 3 of us were excluded. They excluded a total of 7 candidates. And for those who've been following my mayoral race, you know that this is nothing new. Technically these are private organizations. They can do as they please. But we did find it kind of a smack in the face and really just disingenuous for a group that calls themselves Houston Millennials not to actually invite the millennials in the race. Instead, everybody on the stage at their event, which took place last night, was 50 plus, 60 plus. I think Busby's the youngest one at 51. And totally did not represent the millennial opinion, I would say. Now, I don't even like this label millennials. I don't really care, about the generational kind of thing. I don't necessarily feel connected to people just because we're of the same age. And last night really proved that, because these people who run Houston Millennials, namely, I'll point out Ivan Sanchez and 𝕁𝕒𝕪 𝔹𝕦𝕤𝕥. Ivan is this local guy who previously ran for office. He's connected with a lot of the activist groups, and you can tell he's one of these people who wants to be a politician. He did run for office. He, not the way I'm doing it, but to actually get into that system. You can find pictures of him with Sheila Jackson Lee, pictures with the mayor, pictures with presidential candidates. He is deeply entrenched in this. He wants to be a politician. He wants to be a part of the establishment, and so does Mr. 𝕁𝕒𝕪 𝔹𝕦𝕤𝕥 apparently. And the way they ran their event was very establishment. Again, I don't think that the millennials, the younger audience, were truly being represented. And just kind of a weird point, they say that millennials is 24 to 38. I've never heard it that old. I think most of the people who are running the millennials group probably aren't even millennials. From what I've heard, millennials ends at 35, so right around the top of my age. I'm barely even in there. I definitely don't think some folks who are 38 are included in that, for whatever it's worth. Anyways, last night was their millennial forum, and they excluded all the candidates. I was there with my team, and I decided at the last moment, once they wrapped up, I didn't interrupt anybody's speech, but once the event wrapped up, I did step up, I grabbed the mic, and I let people know that there are millennial candidates, and that myself and Victoria Romero, who's also a candidate and a millennial, were there in the audience, and that there were 12 candidates, not 5. And, I was very quickly, the mic was cut off, of course. They hurried me out, and nobody touched me or anything like that, and that's fine. We went outside. We continued to talk to people, and people were thankful I did that. People said, I want to know more about you. They were interested. People were upset, wondering why the millennials weren't invited, just to let Ivan and Jay know. Your own organization, people were wondering why you wouldn't invite millennials, and it's because they're perpetuating the same systems as the previous generations. It's all about money. So if you don't raise enough money, then you're not a viable candidate. So I don't see how this organization is anything different than anything we've ever seen before. They're just perpetuating the same old stuff. And, I'm going to leave it there. Here's the video. You can see yourself. I'm going to show you 2 different angles. And then you can see when Jay and one other person from the millennials came up to me at the end of the evening when I was outside of the building, which they don't own. It's Rice University. And essentially got in my face and said, you're going to have trouble if you do this again. Specifically, Mr. 𝕁𝕒𝕪 𝔹𝕦𝕤𝕥 said, if you do some bitch-ass shit like that again, you're going to have problems. So this is the way that Houston Millennials acts. This is just the same, stuff I've been dealing with from other places, other events. I'm not very surprised, but it is unfortunate. So check out the footage, and if you want to know more about my campaign, check out DerrickBroze.com. Till next time, remember, you are powerful, you're beautiful, and you are free. Peace.
Come here. HISD, roads, crime, we got to fix it. One thing I will tell you, if I promise you something, I will deliver. If I say it, I will do it. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. I'm asking you for your vote.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Well, hey, I forgot the most important thing. Go Astros, y'all.
Thank you. Amanda and I want to thank all of our candidates and everybody who came out. I'm going to hand it off back to Saviz.
Yeah, I would like to thank everyone for coming. You give yourselves a round of applause, actually.
Excuse me, Houston. I just want to let you know there are other mayoral candidates running. I'm a millennial. There's another millennial candidate. They did not invite all the candidates. Look up, find out who's all out there. There's 7 other candididates, including 3 millennials, and these people don't want you to know about it. So.
Yeah, I would like to thank everyone for coming. Give yourselves a round of applause,
You know there are other mayoral candidates running. I'm a millennial. There's another millennial candidate. They did not invite all the candidates. Look up, find out who's all there. There's 7 other candidates, including 3 millennials, and these people don't want you to know about it. We will be on the ballot. Check it out. Thank you guys very much.
Broze for mayor! Broze for mayor! End the corruption in Houston! Yeah, baby. Sir, you did a disservice to not have all 12 candidates here at this forum.
Why did I do a disservice?
Are you part of the millennial Okay, then why weren't all 12 of the candidates here? Shouldn't the city decide who's a viable candidate and who's not a viable candidate? I'm just saying. I mean, it's a pretty good question to ask.
I'm a businessman.
He's not a politician. We don't want a businessman in our city. We want real people in our city.
I just left my peanut.
𝕁𝕒𝕪, in case you want to know, JAY_BUSTOS. Made some good comments right now. Rock up. And then they erased them all.
They might erase them all, yeah.
Did you get my good side? Hey, you done recording?
You have something else to say? I'm ready to hear it.
Thank you so much for coming and sitting down throughout the whole thing. We appreciate it. Have a good day.
Alright, what you're asking for. Do you have a problem with me being considered? I probably said that publicly with the fact that your organization with me. I don't know. 𝕁𝕒𝕪. Alright, so whatever problem you can look me up.
Man, just reach us out, Danny. Just reach out to us and we've seen it.
My team and I've been emailing since June when you first announced it. Got it. And then, you included Boykins and Lovell. They joined after me, but they got in your deadline. But I haven't told me the deadline. But somehow I missed it. Don't do shit like that again.
Yeah, got it.
I'm going to do it every time. People keep candidates out, man.
You're going to have a big problem.
People want to
I'm not a politician. You have a
I'm
big
not
problem.
either, buddy. I'm not afraid of that, brother. I'm going to be out there every time as long as if you keep perpetuating the same systems, I'll keep calling them out.
I thought you were a businessman. Because you're